Drivers race for their cars as Europe's most grueling car race begins. It's 24 hours non-stop with 2 drivers to each car. 31 cars in a struggle for mastery.
This wonderful old lady behind us is the Cunningham Cadillac Le Monstre, which was Briggs Cunningham, a great wealthy American sportsman's first entry for the Le Mans 24-hour race in 1950. And basically he bought 2 Cadillac 61 sedans, roofed-in saloon cars, to enter as his team. And this one they fitted with this wonderful streamlined body that was designed by a man called Howard Weinman, who was an aerodynamicist with Grumman Aircraft. And the idea at Le Mans, because it had a 3-mile straight, if you could go really quickly down the straight, you were in good shape. And this shape proved to be about 13 miles an hour faster down the straight than the saloon car. And they took it to Le Mans, and they were they were made immensely welcome by the French, in part because they were the first American team to contest the 24 hours after the war. And it's only 5.5 years earlier that it had been the American armed forces who'd liberated Le Mans.
A few days before, the town of Le Mans was in the front line. Now it can hardly hear the distant sounds of war. The cinema Pathé is again showing the truth to the townsfolk. The shops are open once more, and the people of Le Mans have settled down to an almost normal existence.
So for the 1950 regulations, you had to use the stock chassis and engine for the car. You could do whatever you wanted to the body. You were free to modify it as much as you want. So what Briggs did is he hired Grumman Aircraft Corporation to design the body for him. Then Frick Tappet Motors built the car for Briggs Cunningham, which eventually Briggs Cunningham ended up acquiring. Frick Tappet Motors moved the whole operations to West Palm Beach and renamed it Cunningham. And that was the company that started building all the Cunningham race cars after he had his experience at Le Mans with the Cadillac Le Monstre in 1950. As Doc mentioned, the aerodynamic body was going to be light. It didn't end up being as light as they thought. It's only about 300-pound difference than the coupe.
To drive, it's a lovely old lady. It's like the BFG, it's a big friendly giant. The gear shift is a column shift, what's known as 3 on the tree. And you go 1, 2, 3, and that's it. And you've got anything from, standstill to 130 miles an hour in it, with a big grumbly V8 engine.
The engine is pretty interesting because you couldn't modify the actual engine, but you could do something to the carburetor. So they did a one-off intake manifold with 5 carburetors. The center carburetor feeds the engine at slow idle when you're just putting around a parking lot, and then as soon as you open up the throttle, that one closes, and then the 4 remaining carburetors feed the rest of the engine, 2 cylinders each.
And the crowd just fell in love with the car with its V8 noise, and they christened this one Le Monstre, the monster. And the roofed-in car that the team also ran, they christened Le Petit Pateau, which means effectively, the cuddly puppy. And that was the 2 Cunningham team Cadillacs that ran at Le Mans in 1950. But Briggs Cunningham, the driver of this car, the owner of this car, actually slid off and put it in the sandbank at Mulsanne Corner on the 2nd lap. And the car weighs 3,700 pounds. And Briggs Cunningham solo, unaided, because he would have been disqualified if anybody had helped, dug it out of the sandbank and drove on, and he rejoined 35th and finished 11th, with the clumsy puppy, Le Petit Pateau, 1 place ahead.
Well, after that, Briggs Cunningham decided to pursue his passion. His objective was to always win Le Mans with an American car, and what better than his own company. So after that, he put this car in the museum after the one race at Le Mans, and then he started building his own cars. He started off with the Cunningham C1, which was a prototype development with a Cadillac engine, then the C2s, And then by the time the C3R came, he had developed a relationship, I believe, with the son of the president of Chrysler. And then they offered the support. And so starting from the C4R, C5R, those were all Chrysler-powered engines. So for him, it was just more beneficial. The cars were lighter to race with his own Cunningham brand cars. And then his best, unfortunately, he never got to his goal, which was to win Le Mans with his own cars. His best finish was in 1953 with the Cunningham C5R, with its nicknamed the Smiling Shark.